Hello and welcome to this week's At Home with the Wayne. My name is Tracy Strait, and I'm the Executive Director of the historic Wayne Theater Ross Performing Arts Center located in downtown Waynesboro, Virginia. Tonight, we are thrilled to welcome Larry Friedland, stage combat and fight choreographer. Larry is joining Hank Fitzgerald, our Director of Original Programming, live right here on the Wayne stage. He will be discussing and demonstrating the importance of safety and the many intricacies of fight choreography. This is going to be so fascinating. This evening's At Home with the Wayne is brought to you by our month of August sponsors, Summit Square, where life is better, Well Planned Financial, your financial ally, Virginia Mennonite Retirement Community, culture awaits. Standout Arts, Waynesboro's top-rated web designer. If you would like to become a sponsor of the At Home with the Wayne series, a partner in the arts, or make a donation to the Wayne Theater, please click on the waynetheater.org link in the description of this post just above the comment section. Once on our website, look for the orange box that says At Home with the Wayne. Please follow the prompts to make a donation or become a sponsor of any of our programming. We truly appreciate any support you can give. And now, here's Hank and Larry.
Good evening, Facebook Live. We are here tonight with Larry Friedland, stage combat choreographer extraordinaire. Larry, how are you? It's so good to see you this evening.
It's so good to see you at a good 6-foot distance. I appreciate you being here.
Yes,
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful. Things are going quite well for, being the apocalypse and such.
Exactly. Larry, you live in Stanton with your lovely wife. And where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, in a small town called Cooper City, right outside of Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And we went to school there for high school, and then I went to Florida State University for theater.
And you studied theater, of course.
And I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I did theater all through middle school and high school. And while I was in high school, I actually had the opportunity to work with a group of people, and I was introduced who played chess for real. And they used real swords and combat and choreographed it for shows and for Renaissance festivals. And that was my first exposure to choreography. And I fell in love with it. And when I went to college, there was a professor there who further trained us and gave us more opportunities to learn. And I just fell in love with it. And it's been ongoing ever since with different teachers and since then.
And so, Larry, tell us a little bit about what got you interested in stage combat and why did you choose it?
So, it's interesting when you think about it. I am terrible at sports, like terrible at sports. Like I can't catch and I don't throw very well, but I had an opportunity to pick up a sword when I was 16. And for whatever reason, the way that I'm built and the way that my mind works, combat made sense. And I don't know, being slightly aggressive of nature, like it kind of fed a lot of things for me. And it allowed me an opportunity to be physical in a way that a lot of people weren't. And it kind of gave me a different kind of focus. And it was a very different aspect of theater that I had never really seen before. And I just fell in love with it. And my parents supported it. They gave me my first sword when I was 16 years old, and it was just this wonderful opportunity to add something into a play. I would see choreographers come in, and you get to see that work and go, "Wait, that's amazing!" And they get to add something to a production, and I just loved it. And I got a chance through college. And so there weren't as many people who were interested in the same way I was. And so I had the opportunity to start learning how to choreograph shows and start working and adding this and kind of under tutelage of different teachers to kind of hone this craft.
Yes. So those who are watching, stage combat is the same thing as a choreographer does when they choreograph a show. All fights, all crime scenes, any kind of physical activity needs to be choreographed. And when you're choreographing a show, what do you do for your research?
So depending on what it is, I want to always talk to the director and see what their image is, right? What the picture they want to have and the story that they want to tell. How violent, how aggressive, right? What are we really trying to get across? I want to make sure that everything that we're doing is specific to the time period, is specific to what your characters would know how to do. Just because you know how to do something as an actor isn't necessarily a good idea for your character to do. The running joke that I always say is Romeo doesn't know Kung Fu. And so you want to make sure that it makes sense to the play, unless you're doing something very, very interesting and everybody's, it's kind of an anachronistic version of it. But so I try to do as much research, regardless of whether it's unarmed or armed combat, to match the time period, and then always talk to the director to make sure that what I'm going to give them is the picture they want to see. Then we work with the actors and then take into account what they're physically capable of doing, what they feel comfortable doing and feel safe doing.
Yes, and that's the big thing, safety.
Yes.
The actor's safety. I've worked with you several times in many shows, and the repeat process of each action has to be done in such a manner for the actor's safety.
Yes.
And it's amazing to watch you work, because it should always be practiced the same exact way.
Exact same way over and over. I think if it's done well, the goal is that the audience believes it's happening for the first time, but the actor has done it so many times that their body is almost doing it on its own.
Right.
But you still want to have complete focus. You never ever want to see a scene where performers are just making it up as they go, because that's how people get hurt terribly. Even with choreography, you have to be constantly safe and practice over and over and over again in order to make sure it's exactly right. It's better that it's safe and very, very slow than too fast and somebody gets harmed, or the audience even worries that the actors are they're in danger for themselves.
Exactly, because it has to look real and believable.
Real.
And you always, I know I've called you in for several shows. People call you all the time because you've done so much in our community with several different shows, and they're all different and different scenarios and different measures to get there, because I've seen you do that. And tell us about when you're deciding for what is best to work in a show after talking to the director and coming up. What is your process of creating it?
So once we've kind of decided how it wants to look and the ideas of it, it's very much sitting down and kind of structuring what move will make the most sense. How will this character respond? So if somebody chooses to do something, what is the next move where the opposing character, where it would make sense? So there's fluidity. So it looks like they don't know what's coming next, but it makes physical sense that they're going to make these choices. And so you try to see it almost in this model. It's hard to describe the process, but I've been very lucky that my head works in such a way where I can almost envision, and I can flip the stage while I'm writing so I can see it from both characters. And decide, oh, if this hand is coming here, where's the next hand have to go? And so I sit down with it. And then I'll try to stand up and oftentimes find a partner and work it out. Because you know what? Everything works in your head. And then you put it on stage and go, oh, that's not physically possible. Human beings don't move that way. And so it's an ongoing process. Then you meet the actors and you work with them. I try to never stay too attached to what I write, so that if it seems like they feel uncomfortable, I can alter it. I would prefer to alter it than worry about them having to need to alter it or think that they want to alter it themselves.
Wonderful. And so the treat tonight for our audience is that Larry has got some demonstrations that he's going to show of the different styles. And you brought assistant along.
I did. So joining me this evening is Annabelle Terry. Annabelle is a rising senior at Buffalo Gap High School. She's in the theater program there, which is led by my beautiful and extremely talented wife, Jackie Pattison. And she has been training with me now and has worked on several different productions. So she's going to be joining me tonight. So thank you for that. And she's going to now beat the stuffing out of me. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to show some unarmed techniques, kind of give you an idea of, oh, this is what it would look like. And then we're going to give you like a little bit of the secret of how it's actually working. So I think we'll start with a slap. Yes? So I think, if an actor, the scene is happening and something weird is going on, like I've stolen one of her brownies and she's very upset about that because brownies. And so, no, please, that's terrible. Oh, and she hits me and that's awful. Why would you hit somebody? And you see that and you hear that and it makes a noise called a nap. And the nap is the sound that makes us go, oh, there was violence. What we're doing in that is my hand is here and she hits it and it makes that noise and I react to it and we move. And as long as you set it up right, we call it cheating. As long as you set it up right, most of the audience doesn't see the trick. That's the goal. right? And you have to set it up in a way where it makes sense. So that's a slap. A punch kind of works the same way. So maybe it's here, and like, no, really, I'm so sorry about, oh my God. And she hits me in the face again because she has aggression issues. But really what's going on is when she throws this punch, she's extending her hand, she's making the sound against her chest. There's plenty of space between her hand and my face, which I like because I use this on a daily basis, and I'd like to keep it right there. So there's lots of space there, and I just react. Again, as long as you're cheated, the audience doesn't see it because they're not expecting it. That's the neat part about theater. If you're telling the right story, all of this should work to continue telling that story. You never want anything that happens as far as combat to pull you away from what the story is telling. Otherwise, we get confused, right? Let's do, how about you choke me? Because again, brownies, right? So as Annabelle comes up to choke me, this is bad. Throat, hospital. No hospital. So she's gonna put her hands on my collarbones where it's safe. I'm gonna grab her hands to keep them from moving, and I'm gonna tuck my chin.
To make it look like they choking. Oh, that's good in it. Oh, wow.
And it's terrible. She's not doing anything except for acting, and I'm responding accordingly, right? It keeps me safe. She's also watching me to make sure that I don't lose balance. So if I need her, she's there. She's looking at me the whole time. You have to work with your partner constantly and have communication. Like to slam my face into something? I think that'd be great. Let's use this. I think this would be good. Yeah. So she's gonna bang my head into this, which is terrible because I just, oh. And that's all that is, right? And so she slams me down on a piece of furniture and things fall out and shh. But all we're doing is making noise against the cushion. All we're doing is creating the illusion of something, right? All she's doing is putting her hand and letting go, and I do the rest. And there it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle. So let's see who's watching with us tonight. Jackie Lee, Drew Baston, Jackie, Kim Ryder. Everyone is watching tonight.
Everybody's watching? Look at that. That's
Yes,
fantastic.
wonderful. Yikes,
Thank
that's
you.
unbelievable. Coming from Shannon Sanker. Yes. So Larry, we know that fight choreography is used in a lot of straight plays.
Yes.
A lot of Shakespeare shows, a lot of dueling, lots of dueling. And we have night fights in West Side Story. And we have mob scenes in Rock of Ages. We have mob scenes in Newsies. Tell us a little bit about working in plays in the areas that you've worked on and coming up with the fight choreography for those shows.
So each show gives you a different opportunity, right? Because every story is different. I've been very lucky through my career to have lots of different teachers that have exposed me to different styles. And I've met and worked with lots of martial artists, and I've studied a lot to be able to kind of incorporate as much reality into a production as possible, so that the more that you know, as I've found, the easier it is then to be able to go, okay, wait, this concept will work for this show, this concept for this show, and we can translate it in ways that are still safe.
Right.
Again, I can't say enough. The safety in this is remarkable. You have to have communication, you have to have practice, and that's paramount to everything. You never ever, and again, I've heard plenty of stories, and then in where oftentimes if there is no choreographer, they'll just simply go, we'll just work it out. Just work it out and fight. And I have a litany of horror stories that I can tell you about friends in the industry that have been injured because they haven't had a chance to practice or they don't give it that time. So what I've also been very lucky in is working with directors that are willing to say, we're going to commit to this. I've had the opportunity to do Newsies 3 times in the community, both for Shannon Arts and Stuart Straft High School and Spotswood High School up north a bit. And those are huge crowd scenes of teenagers. And to be able to work with them, and teenagers are wonderful. Like I love working with that age because they're fully willing to commit.
Yes.
Sometimes almost too much, but they're fully willing to commit to combat. Annabelle's fought in Little Women of all musicals that has a sword duel in the middle of it, yes. Which was remarkable. And figuring out again, what's gonna be part of the story that makes sense? Because we also all wanna see spectacle. We always wanna see the most amazing thing and to get a chance to see something wonderful, but does it still tell the story? Is it right for the characters? Is it right for the play? And again, I try to work with this, that the fight shouldn't be the neatest thing. If the audience goes, that fight was cool, it's not, I didn't do my job well, because it should just be part of that story. So in looking at, like when you said like West Side Story, we worked very hard with the performers who worked very hard and spent a lot of time in rehearsal, matching those combat moves and timing it to the music. So it became a part of the dance and still had this element of aggression that made sense. And still, it felt, oh, it's not just dancing. It's an edge of something else. So you felt concern for the characters in it.
Yes, and folks out there, everyone knows the iconic scene from West Side Story, the emotional fight scene involves dancing and fight all joined into one, which was a beautiful. And anyone has any questions, please let us know if you have any questions for Larry as we're going through the program this evening. So Larry, during your next demonstration is with knives. Yes.
And so while we mentioned West Side Story, and that's kind of a specific thing because you see the switchblades come out and that's a right time period for this. There isn't always a lot of opportunity to do a protracted knife fight, but they have become very, very popular in films, and there's a lot of work to be done that way. You're seeing a lot more of it, and it's very exciting. It's a very close form of combat. Knives are short, and you're very, very close to each other, and so there always has to be, in martial arts, they pretty much have explained, if you're gonna get into a knife fight with somebody, someone is bleeding on both sides. Like you're gonna be getting hurt because you're so close to each other. And so you still wanna have that moment of, and when we do this, hopefully you'll see a moment of tension and a moment of concern for physical safety as we start to do this. So we'll see what we do.
Yes.
Where have I tucked? Excellent. Ah. Well done. So you notice that was really fast. Real violence happens very, very quickly. So, and I'm going to give you an example right now of how long this is. So Annabelle and I practiced that particular fight, probably since we added it, I'm going to say that probably has 3 hours. 3 hours of practice time just for that window in order to make sure it's exact and it's safe the whole time.
Yes, and amazing. As we all know, the scene in West Side Story ends in a fatal death.
Yes,
and in emotion. And what you see in your choreography is, which I commend you for, is getting the actors to put that emotion into each step of what they're doing, and that's an amazing feat within itself.
Thank you. I think what my mentors have taught me is that in the stage combat idea, it's stage, right? Like, so we have to act. Stage is first, right? And so there has to be this moment of, we can't just, okay, now we're fighting, now we're acting.
Yes.
You need to be doing something. You're engaged the whole time. And the more you practice the fight, the more space it gives you to perform. You want to learn your choreography, then you want to get it exactly right, then you want to act the choreography. You don't want to act too soon. You want to be getting everything exactly where it needs to be. And then you get to tell your story.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And we have some more people watching. Stuart Thomas is watching. And we have Jim Friedland says, wow, you still owe him $40.
By the way, you owe us $40. Wow, thanks, Dad. That's cool. That's it's in the mail. The check is in the mail. I will say, actually, for everybody, we didn't talk about these. So the weapons that we're using, so the knives at least we're using, are a nylon kind of plastic polymer that, I guess that's, but all of those words are the same thing. But it's this polymer that are specifically designed for combat and training. They're plastic. They'll still leave a mark and they still bruise, but it gives you an opportunity to work with something that feels like the right kind of knife. They take good paint if you need to turn it into something and look like it on stage. There are plenty of stage combat weapons that are made of steel and aluminum. It's for what the theater can either afford to have or what's going to make the most sense for the production. And there's lots of different versions of this, but it's remarkable what they can get now. I wish they had these when we were in college.
So, Larry, you have one more demonstration for us tonight.
You do.
And it's with a sword.
It's with a sword.
And swords are used in tons of Shakespeare shows.
Yes.
Also, Dangerous Liaisons, which was a wonderful production out at Oak Grove, and the dueling and the fighting. And so we're excited to see this.
All right, let's go to the next step. So before we do this, the question that always comes up is, are they real swords? Yes, they're metal, they're solid, and they will poke a hole in you. Are they sharp? Not along the edges, because they're meant to take a lot of abuse, and these are specialized swords and specialized blades meant for stage combat. But it still requires a remarkable amount of safety and a remarkable amount of practice to use them. Okay, this side, the other side, this side. I believe her this side. I should put on a glove. As Annabelle reminds me that you should always use a sword with a glove, as I have taught her, and she reminds me. Thanks.
That was wonderful. Tim Reed out there. Hey, Tim Reed. Tim Reed says, way to sell it, Larry Friedland. And Shannon Sanker said that was terrifying.
Excellent.
So we've done several shows together, Larry. And most recently, we did Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd.
And there was several scenes, especially with safety, because they had their throat slits and then had to go down a chute.
Down a chute, yeah, yeah.
Down a chute. And it was utmost important that the actors landed safely. And you helped with the final fight and each slit of the throat. And we have a wonderful clip as a surprise to show our audience tonight from Sweeney Todd. Whitney Novotny was playing the beggar woman, and Pat Owen was our Sweeney Todd. And it's the final slash of the shoot. And we're going to show that clip right now.
You! What are you doing here, woman?
Evil is here, sir! The stink of evil! From below!
Out of here!
She's a devil's wife, sir! Beware her! She with no pain in her heart! Hey, don't mind the
The judge! I have no time! Where is she? Where is the girl? Below, Your Honor, with my neighbor, Mrs. Lovett.
That was great. That was so good. That every night, that just gave me chills every night when he did that slit and down the chute they would go. That was just amazing. So we have some questions. Do you use knives that shoot out real blood?
Yes, we can rig a knife.
Yes.
You can set something up. The trick is the blood is here and a tube that comes out along the edge. And so as you squeeze that, you can get a line of blood, or you can rig lots of things in advance. A lot of theaters try to stay away from blood because it's rough on the costumes. And it's really hard to have to clean that up. It stains and it's sticky and it leaves a mess on the stage most often, and actors might fall in it. And so we're always somewhat hesitant about using blood, but it's totally we can totally do it. And for the right scene, it really has a good effect.
That's wonderful, Larry. I know that for Sweeney Todd, we actually had the razors rigged with blood in a squeegee thing that just went up with the clear tube and created the line of blood.
And it works. It works
It
every
does.
time.
It
Everybody is
does.
always so surprised by it, and it really gets people. And it really, I think it brings them in. A lot of things can really bring somebody into that moment, and it's wonderful.
So Larry, anyone out there that's watching that wants to get involved with stage combat, what would you tell them?
Well, there are lots of avenues for that. So right now, during the pandemic, there's a lot of schools that are kind of closed right now. The Society of American Fight Directors, which is an international organization, United States, focused of choreographers and trainers and directors. They have classes all over the United States where you can take at very high levels. There are stunt schools around the United States. There are oftentimes a lot of people's first foray into stage combat is being cast in a production that has some fights in it. And they get a chance to see this, and then they work with their choreographers. But there's opportunities. There's classes that occasionally happen, and hopefully when things kind of change, there'll be more classes, and they'll be able to have the ability to do that in the area.
Larry, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight. We want to thank you for joining us and being with us and sharing your wonderful gift of stage combat and sharing us Annabelle. Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you, Annabelle.
And we'll turn it right over to Tracy. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Larry and Hank and Assistant Annabelle. We really appreciate you being here on the Wayne stage. And thank you all for watching our At Home with the Wayne presentation. Please keep checking our Facebook page and YouTube channel for lots more fun from the Wayne. These presentations would not be possible without the support of our Wayne Theater patrons, partners, supporters, and friends. And once again, we'd like to thank our month of August At Home with the Wayne sponsors: Summit Square, where life is better; Well Planned Financial, your financial ally; Virginia Mennonite Retirement Community; Culture Awaits; and Standout Arts, Waynesboro's top-rated web designer. If you would like to become a sponsor of the At Home with the Wayne series, partner in the arts, or make a donation to the Wayne Theater, please click on the waynetheater.org link in the description of this post just above the comment section. And once on the website, look for the orange box that says At Home with the Wayne. Please follow the prompts to make a donation or become a sponsor of any of our programming. We truly appreciate any support you can give. Please join us again next Wednesday evening for At Home with the Wayne as we welcome Anthony Wilkinson. Anthony is a writer, actor, multiple Daytime Emmy Award winner, two-time Directors Guild of America Award recipient, and the executive and artistic director of the Annabelle Performing Arts Center in New Jersey. Anthony will be telling us all about his varied and successful career. Monday movies are back at the Wayne. On August the 24th, we will have King Creole, starring Elvis Presley at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., and we hope to see you then. Thank you again so much for joining us this evening. Be safe, be hopeful, stay home, check in on your loved ones, and we'll see you next time at Home with the Wayne. Good night.